Does Tal'dorei Reborn's appearance on D&D Beyond mean a change in the Critical Role and Dungeons & Dragons relationship?
What?
Today, Wizards of the Coast somewhat surprisingly announced that Tal'dorei Reborn, the campaign setting source book published by Darrington Press, which of course is owned by Critical Role, was now available to purchase and use on D&D Beyond. This marks the first time that true third-party content has been available on D&D Beyond, at least since Wizards of the Coast purchased D&D Beyond in 2022. We'll note that while some League of Legends content was previously available on D&D Beyond, it was content created by D&D Beyond back when it was a separate entity from Wizards of the Coast, and that was sponsored content, and its ownership, who owns that, is somewhat in dispute. Now, the surprise appearance of Tal'dorei Reborn, which we note has been an extremely popular and bestseller in hobby stores since its release in late 2021, on D&D Beyond, has led to some questioning if there's been a change in the D&D and Critical Role relationship. Many, including us, has speculated that Critical Role is preparing to split from Dungeons & Dragons with Campaign 4, in part because of the launch of Daggerheart, a new long-form fantasy tabletop RPG that does all these same sort of things that D&D does, but is 100% owned by Critical Role. So, has there been a change in the Critical Role Wizards of the Coast relationship? Well, the answer is we don't know, but probably not. So we'll note that D&D Beyond's relationship with Critical Role dates back years. That is, before D&D Beyond was owned by Wizards of the Coast, and D&D Beyond has been sponsoring the entirety of Critical Role's third campaign. We also know that Wizards previously announced plans to eventually open up D&D Beyond to third-party content, although they gave no timeline to creators who attended a D&D Creator Summit earlier this year. Our guess is that this is less of a change in the relationship between D&D and Critical Role, and more that D&D Beyond is moving to support third-party work, which is what they said they did, and they're starting with what is arguably the most popular third-party book released for 5e. We know that it takes time for D&D Beyond to put new content on its site. It's infamously one of the reasons why playtest subclasses are no longer included in the character builder, so it's hard to tell exactly how long this all has been in the works. We'll also add that Darrington Press and Critical Role hasn't really promoted the D&D Beyond version of their book outside of a single retweet. Let's be honest, this is probably a good business move for both parties. D&D Beyond is probably the biggest 5e marketplace out there, and Tal'dorei Reborn is probably the biggest 5e book not published by Wizards that's out there. It's hard to tell if this is more than something that just makes sense for both parties. You know, why not put the best-selling third-party 5e book on the largest 5e marketplace? It's just money to be made for both parties all around. The bigger question is whether we'll see more third-party content start to migrate to D&D Beyond soon, and what this means for Wizards of the Coast's plan for D&D Beyond moving forward. So, what do you think of Tal'dorei Reborn's appearance on D&D Beyond? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.